Hi, and welcome back to Museum at Home. Today, we are looking at an object which can tell us a lot about life in ancient Greece. It's an object that can help us to learn about ancient Greek life, mythology, and history, the Amphora. But to start with, what do we know about the ancient Greeks? Well, about 2,500 years ago, Greece was an incredibly important place. And the ancient Greeks were a civilization which covered enormous parts of the area around the Mediterranean Sea. There had been important civilizations in that area for many, many years before that. But the golden age of classical ancient Greece is normally described as being approximately 500 years BC and lasting for about 200 years. Now, civilization thousands of years ago would have been quite different to our societies today. The things that they believed about life and death, about nature and religion, are all very different to what we understand today. But at the same time, the ancient Greeks set up a lot of things which we still recognise today. The Olympic Games, the way in which we govern countries, the way in which people think and argue, and lots of plays and poems. Now, the ancient Greeks were great thinkers. They were philosophers and scientists, and they left an awful lot of evidence of their civilization in ruined palaces, in temples, in objects, and in artifacts. Archaeologists and historians use objects from ancient Greece to learn more about what life was really like thousands of years ago. And we can see those artifacts in museum collections all over the world. So today, we are going to look at an object kept at the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City in the United States. What can we learn about the ancient Greeks from this object? Well, let's find out. Have a look at this amphora or jar. Let's think back to some of our key question words. What? What is it? What was it used for? What can it tell us about the people who made it? Why? Why was it made? Why is it shaped like that? Why is it that colour? And how? How was it made? These are all really important questions which we can ask when we look at this one jar. So, let's start with what is it? Well, an amphora is a type of container, and it would have been used for storing or transporting things. Perhaps this one might have been used for storing wine. Wine as a drink was often produced in ancient Greece. The climate in the Mediterranean is perfect for producing grapes. It was often diluted by mixing it with water to make it a bit weaker. And it was used for drinking with meals, but also as part of religious ceremonies, and sometimes as a medicine. So, can you see the handles at the side of this amphora? These were used to help lift it. Now, this one here is about 34 centimetres tall. Perhaps it stood on the table, or perhaps beside it. Or perhaps it was created as an object of beauty, rather than as a practical storage container. It was certainly made to look beautiful and to be seen. Look at the beautiful figures on it. So what was it made out of? Well, like most artefacts in this collection, it is made of terracotta, a type of clay which has been heated to extremely high temperatures. It's so lucky for us that the ancient Greeks used lots of terracotta because it is very hard-wearing or durable. Unlike ancient wooden objects, which are much harder to preserve and are damaged much more easily, fired clay can last for thousands of years. So we are still able to find evidence of it even today. Now it's a really distinctive, unusual colour, red and black. Lots of ancient Greek vases and pots and amphora were the same colours. And it comes down to the way that this particular type of clay reacts when it is heated. So, what can this amphora tell us about ancient Greek life? Well, it certainly tells us that beautiful objects were valued. This is not just any old storage jar. This has been crafted and decorated so that it can be displayed. And what does it show? Well, look closely. It shows a warrior fighting an archer with a bow. Now the warrior is Greek and the archer is Persian. The artist who created this amphora is actually showing a scene from a battle which took place very recently when it was made. So we can see a lot about Greek warriors, what they wore, and what weapons they used from this amphora. Can you see what the Greek warrior is holding? Well, he's clearly holding a shield and a spear. He's using the shield protectively, but he is thrusting the spear at the Persian soldier. The spear was one of the most important weapons in ancient Greek warfare, and often it had a blade at one end and a spike on the other. Does this look like the spear on the amphora? Yes, I think it really does. Now, shields were very heavy. They were made of bronze, metal, wood and leather, very, very often. Now look at the warrior's head. What can you see? He is wearing a helmet to protect his head. But look closely. You can see that the helmet protects his forehead and under his eyes, but it still allows him to see as well. On the top of the helmet, there is something. Can you see the horsehair? This horsehair crest would probably have been made for decoration, but it also gave him an added little bit of protection as well. Now, look underneath the soldier's feet. Can you spot a pattern? Now, this is a geometric pattern. It is made up of shapes, and it is a repeated image. We call this the Greek key design, and it was a very common pattern on ancient Greek decoration. You'll spot it on lots of objects from ancient Greece. It reminds people of the idea of a labyrinth, something quite similar to a maze, which features in a very famous Greek story that you might have heard. So, we can learn an awful lot just from one single amphora by thinking about how it was made, how it's decorated, and why it might have been made. And if we think back to those key question words, we can actually work out quite a lot for ourselves and ask some really useful questions about the object. So, if if you'd like to do some follow-up activities on this topic, just head to the Museum at Home website or click on the link in the description of this YouTube video. In the next episode, we're going to be returning to ancient Greece to find out a bit more about ancient Greek gods and goddesses. So, join me next time for Museum at